to our June 3rd Planning Board meeting. Please note this meeting is being made available to the public through an audio recording, which will be used to ensure an accurate record of proceedings produced in the minutes of the meeting. All comments made in open session will be recorded. Okay, first up tonight, are we doing that first or at the end? First? All right, so our first item tonight is for reorganization of the planning board.
So,
What is the, I don't,
So
since
I'll
that's
make-
my first time of doing that.
I'll make a motion that we
Open the nomination.
open the nominations for the.
See the description?
The script here.
Oh, right there.
Sorry, I missed it. Too many papers over here right now.
And specific to the position.
Okay, so Mr. Taylor moved, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by
Second.
Andy. The planning board reorganization and consider nomination of the following position, chair, vice chair, clerk, and take any action on the following meeting nights and signature of plans. Okay, so
So
for the chair,
nominations are being accepted. So I'll nominate Andy Wandell for chair.
and Ms. Trombley seconded? Okay,
Do we do, I forget, do we do a, like,
Do we vote?
all in favor?
Well, you can,
No,
Or just do it all at the
we
end?
can
we do it all again, close nominations and then.
vote this late.
okay.
Oh,
So
right,
it's
right, okay.
on here, it's telling me to, so I close each one and then go on to the next one?
Technically,
Yep.
that's what you should
Okay.
do.
I'll
Say
move that we-
if
the
any other
nomination for
nominations.
chair be closed.
Right, ask for all nominations. So you
Oh.
ask if there's any other nominations for chair.
Are there any other nominations for chair? No. Okay,
I'll make a motion, we close the nominations for chair.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay,
Now you vote.
so now we need to vote. I guess we're all voting for Andy? All in favor of Andy being the chair? Aye, so moved. Okay, now we'll open nominations for the vice chair, are now being accepted. Do I have any nominations?
I'll nominate Alicia for vice chair.
Okay. Heather has seconded. Do I have any other nominations for vice chair? No. Bueller? Okay. So do I have any,
Oh, I'll make a motion
Motion.
to close the nominations for vice chair.
do I have a second? Okay, and Jim has seconded that. Okay, so now we can take a vote for myself, Alicia Siciliano Perry, for, as the vice chair.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now we have to open nominations for the clerk are now being accepted. Do I have any nominations for the clerk? I nominate Scott.
Second.
Oh, second?
I'll accept, sure. I thought there was an acceptance in there first. Sure.
No time for you to accept. We just nominate you and you're stuck with it. That's how it
Quickly
works.
close the
around.
nomination.
Oh, we have a vote to.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second to close the nominations now. So now, all in favor to vote Scott as our new clerk? Aye. So moved. So Scott is now our clerk. We'll continue to hold our planning board meetings on Monday nights at 7 PM here in the Veterans Hall. And we have the schedule for the remainder of the year, so we really don't need to vote on that, correct? We'll just continue
We'll
as.
accept it. We'll accept what's
Accept
presented
as
here. So I make
presented.
a motion that we accept the 2024 Planning and ZBA Board meeting schedule as presented.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of accepting
Aye.
the meeting
Aye.
schedule? Aye, so moved.
I think we have to do that
Mm-hmm.
one. I'll make a motion, oh,
Signing of plans,
I'll
the
move.
chair, vice chair, and clerk.
singularly or collectively be allowed to
Author.
sign plans submitted to the planning board. So I made that motion.
Not subject to subdivision control.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Reorganized. That was pretty sad. I'm sorry for all of you who had to witness that. So- So now, does Andy take over now?
Yes.
I get to move.
Well,
Would you like to stay where you are, and I'll
stay
just
where I
pass
am.
you over the gavel?
Thank you. All right, what's next on the agenda? We have a public hearing?
Yes. Do you have the agenda?
Sure. All right, so we've got public hearing for site plan SP 2-24, David Newell, Town Tavern and Treehouse, 244 Matakeesit Street. The applicant proposes to increase on-site parking by adding about 3,091 square foot gravel parking area. This area will be used for stacked parking of customer vehicles. This parking area will be operated by a complimentary valet parking service. The stacked parking will allow for about 33 cars to be parked in stacked configuration. The stacked parking will result in a total of 99 spaces on site. The valet parking will allow for a 43% increase in parking over existing operations. In addition to the gravel parking, the applicant proposes wetland buffer mitigation plantings, a subsurface crushed stone trench, and rain garden for stormwater attenuation and treatment. The current site in the area of worksheet flows untreated and unattenuated south towards Furnace Pond. All right, just before we get started, a couple of ground rules for a public hearing. The applicant's going to present the plan, then the board will get the chance to ask some questions, and the board's peer reviewer will also review the plan with the board. After that, if there is public comment, we'll take some public comment. So welcome.
Great. Excuse me. David Newhall of Crocker Design Group, here on behalf of Town Tavern. Also with me, David Barry, the owner of Town Tavern, and Chris Codwell of Crocker Design Group as well. So the existing site is the existing Town Tavern located at 244 Matakeesit Street. We have about a little more than 2 acres at the site. We have the Furnace Pond to the south, Matakeesit Street to the north. To the east and west, we have town-owned properties. We have the existing restaurant building located here. We have an existing patio and bar area, and then an existing treehouse bar area and seating area here, with associated parking located to the east and to the west of the existing restaurant building. The site today currently has 69 parking spaces. We are proposing to retain those 69 parking spaces, and then during the peak hours of operation, typically during the summer, on the weekends, expand the parking lot to the west of the site to use valet parking. We have previously presented this project to the Conservation Commission. We received approval from Conservation, and they issued their order of conditions pursuant that we come to Planning Board, have a site plan review process done. We had a peer review done by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. They issued their comments to us on Thursday, and then what we have in front of you is our response and our plan addressing their comments that we did receive on Thursday that we were able to submit today. To walk you through the plan, we have existing curb cuts on Matakeesit Street. We have one on the west side of the building, and then we have 2 on the east side of the building for the existing parking to the east. We're not proposing any changes to any of the buildings on site or any of the parking to the east. All of our proposal is on the west side of the building, where we currently have 13 striped parking spaces. The only exception of a change being made is just adding the handicap symbol on the other side of the island for handicap spacing. So we have the 3 handicap parking spots to the east of the building. The proposal doesn't include any added impervious area. The parking is being proposed on a gravel area. To do so, we have down gradient, we've proposed a concrete retaining wall. So it'll be fairly level, about a 2% slope from back of pavement to the retaining wall. Part of the comments we received from Merrill is we're just having a 6-inch reveal that we added to the retaining wall. So we're keeping the retain height under 4 feet, but having a 6-inch reveal and then having a 4-foot chain link fence built into the retaining wall to keep everybody back behind the retaining wall. When using this area, we have the bordering vegetated wetlands, also down gradient. Prior to the start of construction, we're proposing continuous silt sock, all down gradient from all proposed work. That includes the parking lot work and then also our mitigation plantings we're proposing to offset some of the work within the buffer. All of our stormwater from the site currently today flows undetained and untreated across the parking lot at itself and to Furnace Pond. This proposal will actually help benefit stormwater. We're putting the gravel parking lot in, but as part of the gravel parking lot, we have a stone trench that will be about 3 feet deep and about 3 feet wide. We'll have perforated PVC pipe in it, and that will drain into a proposed rain garden that then provides treatment for that stormwater. So stormwater that previously was untreated now will get treated through the stone trench and then also through the proposed rain garden, and then also adding a bigger buffer to the Furnace Pond and to bordering vegetated wetlands are the mitigation plantings. So parking wise, it's an operational issue that we're dealing with here. The proposed parking count has the same striped number of spaces. We revised our plan to show conceptual valet parking configuration. So we're keeping the same 69 striped spaces. With valet, we probably will have about 40 valet spaces over here that then provides us with 96 total parking spaces. The seat count for the entirety of the site is 210 spaces. So the zoning bylaw has the 1 space per 4 seats. So the requirement is really just 53 spaces, but something that the owner has seen since operating this site since 2022 is parking, especially during these peak summer hours, is a real issue, and trying to keep everything on site. Part of the bylaw had an or statement in it of 1 per 4 or another unit of measurement for parking. So seats for parking, a lot of what he sees when people come, it's not really 4 people coming in 1 car. A lot of times it can be a lot of patrons just coming in their own car, 2 patrons, 2 cars, coming to enjoy. It's a nice night out on a Saturday and somebody wants to come and stay for a little bit. They might just come for 1 person per car and meet here. So additionally, there's also employee parking that 1 per 4 seats doesn't get into. So he wants his employees to have a place to park and the patrons. So the need is seen through operationally, needing to increase the parking, but not increase any of the capacity for any seating. So that's where we show no increase to the traffic coming to site. Traffic's based off the square footage or the seat counts in the trip manual. So we're not changing any of those, we're just increasing the ability to park cars and keep them on site through the valet system and this expanded parking. To just keep traffic will be, people who want to come here will be the same. It's just instead of coming and going in and leaving because there's nowhere to park, they will come and have somewhere to park. I think with that is probably open it up to your questions, or if Deb wants to comment on the proposal.
Should I go through the chair, or can I ask directly?
You can ask directly.
Okay. So can you point out those mitigation plantings again for me?
Yeah, so the mitigation planting is the green area. So we have a rain garden here, and then we have the green hatching. So this is about an 850 square foot mitigation planting. So there'll be native species. It'll be seeded with a conservation wildlife mix, consisting of native plantings that thrive in the buffer area for the vegetated wetlands.
Okay. And is that the little indent in the retaining wall, is that a stairway down?
Oh, that's not a stairway, sorry,
Okay.
it's a little confusing.
All
That's
right.
just showing, it looks like a gap in the retaining wall.
Yeah.
That's the subsurface drain.
Oh,
The
okay.
2 perforated drain pipes, that's just those coming through and discharging to the rain garden and not going straight into furnace pond.
So, and my last question for now anyways, so the cars, so the valets are gonna be over on the other side of the building?
Yep.
Picking up cars?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
I have a question, on that. So the ballets, are they gonna have to go out in the street? I see there's an area here that's paved in front of the building. There is a sign in the way,
I
but
can
could
try
that be made
to,
a
I can
way?
try to answer that a little bit. So I met, when we were starting the valet service, I met with.
Go right up to the podium, please.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, I just wanted to make sure we answered. So when I was attempting to try to add valet services to the property, I met with the police chief, the fire chief, the town manager, just to try to make sure everything was copacetic with their, the way things were flowing. But they do come through, the way that the property, there's your one-way in on the right side, this side here that we're proposing where the parking is currently, and then there's the two openings. There's one way in, and we've forced it now, we've striped it. Before, before I purchased it, when it was the Lucky Dog, both entrances people were using at all times, coming in, coming out on both entrances. When we striped it with a one-way in, coming around the bend and coming out. So now you drive into the left side of the main building, come all the way down and around, you grab the valet takes the car, comes out, comes across and in, and would pull into the back side of the building that's being proposed now. And then staying on property, he walks down and around and back to where his little home is. Does that make sense to answer your
So he
question?
does have to go back out in the street?
He does not have to go back in the street. So there's, in front of the main building here,
Yep.
so this is the main, I believe, Mattakesett. So in the front of my main building, there's a complete opening in the front with a walkway.
That's what I was asking, if you're using that.
Yep, he can just, yeah, he just comes right across here to the front of the building.
Is he been able to drive through there as well?
No, nope.
So he does have, each car has to go back out and.
Correct.
Mandakeesis.
When we were doing it last year, we worked with the town last year, we were using a site down the road, and the biggest concern with the police and fire was the safety of the valet system, the valet users, was running across Mattakesett Street.
Right.
So when I met with Mr. Chenard over the winter time to try and mitigate some issues and some things, I was actually meeting with him to see if the town had some property within the vicinity of the area that they would either rent or sell or whatever it may be. So we had talked a lot of different various options, and then with the safety with the police chief, keeping, obviously they do have to go out onto the main road, whether they're going the left or the right, but keeping them on the main road themselves when they're now walking and not having to pass over the Route 14.
But you're stacking vehicles in that front area though, right?
Some of the additional, right now, the employees, obviously, in the wintertime, nothing's ever an issue, the way we have everything outlined. It obviously becomes the issue when the good weather comes on the weekend. You know, we employ in the summertime, in the wintertime, is upwards to 50 or so employees. Now we have over 106 employees that we employ 100%. And on the weekends, that's where it becomes the most difficult time, because as much as we might have, say, 5% of that, 105 or 106, we have an average on a Saturday of, say, about 50 employees that are working there. You might have 5 that are, the mother and father drop them off for busing or whatever it may be. But you have about 40 cars for employee cars. So we were staging a little bit in front of the main building itself. It was only a matter of getting about 8 cars tops on that. But there's still an entire, probably 6-foot gap along the front side of the building that's where the valet safely walks down.
So this is all gonna be gravel?
Yeah, the expanded parking area will all be gravel.
Almost, okay. And then what's under that? With it just fill and then gravel on top?
Yeah, it'd be a processed fill, clean fill, and then a section of gravel about, I think we got a foot for a sub base, and then another 4 inches for the top course of it.
You've gotten the order conditions, conservation.
Okay, is that what they want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also complies with the stormwater management. So Deb, do you have any insight on the plan that you can give us? Anything that popped up for you? And you have a revised for us today based on the comments that were given to you by Crocker?
Yeah, so I quickly went through the plan set that Dave submitted this afternoon, and went through, I think, most of the comments, take my glasses off to read, were addressed. I think we had a couple of things that we wanted to just add as a condition of approval. Going through those quickly, just getting the registry recording on the plans if you'd like the plans recorded. Let's see. I think I just heard that they had some conversations with the fire and police, so maybe we can nix that one. I had mentioned maybe making sure there was correspondence with both of those departments prior to the start of construction. And they brought up the seasonal need, and that was the reason for the increase in parking. The other note that was mentioned, I had asked about potential tree replacement. Sounds like there's a condition in the order of conditions from the commission to coordinate any tree removal that would be replaced and coordinated with the Conservation Commission. Is that still correct?
Yes.
How many trees were you proposing to take down?
I believe it's either 5 or 6.
Okay.
Let's see, just with regards to the stormwater itself, just prior to construction, having them, the soil looks like it's good, map-wise and everything, but just to give a quick check before they start the construction, so if any minor modifications, that would be helpful, just to see that prior to any construction. And let's see, they met most of the standards, which was great with regards to treatment, peak rate, and redevelopment. I would recommend that there be a condition to add that no snow storage be allowed in the rain garden, and also that the illicit discharge compliance statement be signed and provided to both Conservation and the Planning Board. And let's see, I think the last one was just prior to construction, having the construction O&M plan provided. It's a small enough project that they don't need a SWIP, which is the larger EPA erosion control sort of package, but a smaller construction phasing plan just to go along with the erosion controls that they show on the plans would be helpful, just so that everybody is aware of what needs to be inspected, maintained, especially since we were looking at, and they were kind enough to add some silt sacks to the catch basins out in the street to make sure we don't get anything into the town drainage. Those should be maintained, so we need to make sure that the contractor knows that he's got to be paying attention to those BMPs while they're doing construction.
So as part of the Concom order of conditions, there is a requirement for a on-site inspection of the erosion controls.
So that's great, yeah, so that'll go along with that. Perfect. That's all I had, but I can answer any other questions.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So before I take public comment, does the board feel that we can close the public hearing tonight and issue a order of conditions?
It looks like, to me, anyway, yeah, I mean, it looks like Deb's got everything covered.
Yeah, everything's been
So
covered.
public comment is part of the public hearing, so if anyone's like to come up and speak or ask a question that hasn't been answered already, you certainly come up to the podium and tell us who you are and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Tammy Mello. I'm a resident at 8 Pondview Ave, which is right across the street from Town Tavern. I want to start by saying I appreciate having a good business across the street. Been around since it was the old Hosey days. And I appreciate all that Mr. Barry has done. That said, I've heard a lot of talk about the conservation concerns, but I haven't heard much talk other than Mr. Barry reaching out directly to the chief of police and the fire department about public safety concerns. So I want to raise that. I was worried myself about the valets running back and forth across the street and holding my breath many a times as I saw, particularly at night. I appreciate you saying that it's not going to draw more traffic. It is actually going to bring more cars into a condensed space, and I'm concerned about the public safety impact of that. As of now, you know, I live on Pondview, so where you're talking about expanding, obviously, is on our side. I can't take my dog and walk left, 2 dogs, because for fear of the amount of cars that are coming in and out, and young drivers who are part of the valet, often just trying to quickly get the cars to people, so we go right. So now I'm faced with, I can't go left or right for fear of what that's gonna mean in terms of the cars coming and going. In addition, I haven't heard it addressed when there are special events, and so there are cornhole events, there are raffles, you know, people.
We don't do any of those anymore, we've gotten rid of them.
Because there's many a times where people are parked up and down Mattakesett Street, on sidewalks, up onto the sidewalk, people are trying to walk baby carriages, et cetera. So I would like to hear more about the public safety impact, and if the board is inclined to approve this, my expectation is that there is a conversation with the folks that live in that neighborhood, and I know some of my neighbors are here, about the potential public safety concern that we have with the amount of traffic in a condensed space. Again, appreciate everything that you've done. Would love you to tell your staff not to hoot and holler till 2:15 in the morning in the parking lot when we get up to work. But that's a separate issue.
First I've heard, so I'll make sure.
Yep, all the time. But I am very concerned about a condensed space, more cars. As you said, it's not 4 people showing up in a car. It's a lot more than that, coming and going pretty regularly. And it's a destination.
I mean, the difficulty is like, you need the Pembroke Little League down the street. You get one team and
That's right.
our parking lot's full. That's,
Right.
that's the means of why we're.
And that's the, like, that's good, right? You want a place where people can bring kids. I just think moving cars into the condensed space is gonna have a public safety impact on the rest of us that live in that neighborhood on that street. And I don't feel like there's been a sufficient enough conversation with the community about the impact of that. So that's my concern that I'd like to raise.
Please come up. And as you're aware, the public hearing process is a chance for the abutters to come and meet with the planning board and the applicant to discuss these things.
Hi. Denise Hawes, Alma Ave. I live right across the street. I do want to say it's a vast improvement from the Hosey days. Really, we love the business. We've been there a couple of times for dinner. My concern is, as Tammy stated, is the traffic. I live on the Alma Ave side, and I really would like you folks to come down and take a ride, go in through Pondview and come around the horseshoe and see how difficult it is because of what's on the corner. You have to almost pull out into the road to take a look, to see what's coming down the right side to take a left. And then you just have to, you can see the parking lot, but then you have to hold your breath coming out. Last Friday night, my husband and I were leaving at 5 o'clock. There was a traffic jam of people going into the lot, which held up the traffic this way. We were behind a car. We don't travel over the rain fog line. And there was a car coming out of the exit portion. And instead of staying there, I'm sure what he was trying to accomplish was to get the traffic out to pull the other traffic in, came right up to my husband's car door on the opposite side of the road. Of course, my husband's, not happy about that. So finally, things started moving, but the traffic concerns are real. My kids come to visit on a Sunday, and it's not too bad on a Sunday, but I fear for when they come over during the week this summer, when it's busy, and getting on and off Alma Ave. It is very narrow. So I'd like you to, if you have the opportunity, just take a ride down and see what it is. I'd also like you to come down on a Friday night or a Saturday night and just observe the traffic. You can park in my driveway and just a little quick walk, and you can see what goes on. And I know that's not his fault. He can't control how people drive, and what goes on in the parking lot. That being our main concern, I would respectfully request that if it's at all possible, that maybe have a detail come in during the peak hours. Okay.
I wanted to speak, can I, after that, just speak on that?
Yeah, because I was, when he first opened up, and you'll see how narrow our street is, there are no sidewalks, they're all former cottages. When they first opened up, the cars were parking on the side. I called the town and said, can you put up no parking signs? We can't get out of our driveways. Sure, they came right down, and then they had the issue with the street, they came right down, and they handled that. So that was no longer an issue when the police department came down and the DPW put signs up for no parking. But again, I think, we don't want you to go away, we're not mad, but my concerns are safety. That's my whole issue. Thank you.
Sure.
Well,
I always want to make sure you guys know, as the owner of the restaurant, that my front door for there is always open with a call, a stopover, whatever it may be. When my wife and I bought the previous establishment that was there, I'm sure that everybody that lives in the community can tell the patronage of the individuals that used to go to that establishment 2:30 in the morning, burning out on their motorcycles. Now everybody's waiting in line with their families to come in and get a cheeseburger instead of some of the problems and troublesome that was on there before with drugs and everything else that occurred there. So I know we're doing our due diligence. I stand at the road. I probably saw you on Friday at 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, whether I have valet or I don't have valet, the traffic isn't going to fix itself on the road, simply because I'd like to say I work very, very hard. I have a wife, 3 young children. My number one priority is my family. Next second priority is the businesses that we operate. I personally stand out on Route 14. You can ask every police officer that's there, and I direct as I need to.
I've seen you out there.
I'm taken very seriously. I'm not just sitting in a high perched tower looking down trying to collect every dollar that comes in the building. I walk around the community. I talk to the individuals, mainly on the main road itself. I've had conversations with people on both of those roads. So I just want it to be known that whether I have valet or I don't have valet, I've been thankful that I've worked very hard to produce a great quality product in a beautiful environment in an awesome town that people can come and sit back and relax. You know, I was thankful enough that the Phantom Gourmet came down and chose my destination, my location to showcase on there. I'm going there on Thursday. So I think whether I have valet or I don't, it's going to be a traffic attraction. It's a destinational attraction for the community, which I'm thankful for. And I've tried everything, and I'm continuing to try everything. That's why we're proposing to have the speed up process. No matter what, people are going to pull in or they're going to pull out front, and we're going to tell them, please keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. And it's a new thing for people to be told they can't come in, so they're going to slow down, ask questions. It's going to slow traffic down. But that's why I've done my due diligence with public safety, both from a fire standpoint, a community standpoint with the police department, to sit down with these folks as well as the town manager, to try to find as many means of opportunities for parking, whether it be town-owned facilities that we've tried to negotiate to do something for but just didn't work out, other commercially zoned operations down there as well. So I thought that this was the next best thing to try to propose, simply because it is keeping the majority of individuals walking in a much safer atmosphere walking on the road, even though they have to pull out to pull in, walking on our main area to try and do so. But I do want to make sure that you folks know that I will do anything that I need to do, and I'm sure you've seen that with the amount of not only sweat, tears, and equity that I've instilled in that facility to try to make it such a beautiful destination. That's all I want. I want people to go there and kick back, and I'll do everything. My door is always open. Half the neighbors on the front street have my cell phone. They have an issue, and I'm there. It's not they have an issue with somebody else. I'm out on the main road telling people, move it along. But I do want to just stress to the fact that I understand your concerns about the congestion of people parking in there. But I will have to say, knowing how that operation works and being in this business for as long as I have, that's not going to stop the amount of traffic trying to show up. It's going to, in my eyes, help it, because we now have an opportunity to turn people around. I've talked about doing, having the possibility of police details and things of that nature. The only issue that we really have on those Fridays or those Saturday nights in 4.5 to 5 months out of the season is literally about a 30-minute time frame where everybody shows up at once. And the unfortunate thing is that it's difficult, and I had this conversation with the police chief. Saturday afternoons at noontime, I have the same issue. A little league team gets out, they're playing down at Matakeesit. If you drive down Matakeesit, it's just as much of a disaster of parking and traffic trying to get in and out of there. And now I have 2 baseball teams that have 22 kids on the team showing up at my restaurant at once. No matter what we do, even with valet service, there's going to be traffic congestion. But at least I know that I'm out there and trying to mitigate that by allowing those opportunities.
So to the question of safety,
Yes.
you have a valet service.
Correct.
This is what they do.
Yes.
Any information on how they're trained in safety or what their concerns are? Because I'm just just thinking out loud.
Yep.
It would seem to me that the sooner you get someone out of their car and not trying to find a parking space,
The quicker that it moves.
the quicker that it moves and the safer that it is, because
Correct.
you don't have someone who doesn't know the site and where they're going.
It's the same valet service of another local restaurant in town that's on a very busy highway, a very busy road, 53.
Dishes.
And it's a disaster over there when you're looking at them coming across 53 consistently. But they're running across 53 like they used to do on 14. But 53 is a lot worse
So
than
you've
14.
mitigated that problem. So you don't have
Correct.
the problem of valets running across the street
No.
anymore. So that problem has gone away. So that
Correct.
safety issue, potential safety issue is no longer a part of this.
Correct.
And in your opinion, the additional parking spaces allowed, how does that alleviate a safety issue? I know there's more cars coming onto the site, or the same amount of cars.
Essentially
actually.
the same amount of cars, it's just a quicker process of them coming out and going on our property to stage. So what they're doing is that individual that's taking a car isn't coming around and then trying to park the car and fit it in and then get out and then make sure it fits. I'm paying for close to 6 valets on that one night. 4 or 5 of them are constantly doing this. One's running the key box and they're driving over, dropping a car and running to the next one. This gentleman grabs the car, or female grabs the car, parks the car where it needs to, the next guy's coming in, boom, same one, so on and so forth.
So valet parking should be a safer option than self-parking.
100%.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure, come on up and ask the question so we can hear you.
So, the assumption is this is gonna fix it, right? It's gonna move things quicker.
It'll certainly help.
So my question is, what happens if it doesn't? Right, like, so Denise
Absolutely.
is saying, so if Fridays and Saturday nights are busy,
Yep.
and I appreciate what you say about 30 minutes, I can sit on my deck and see what's happening.
Yeah, 100%.
It's sometimes a lot longer than that. If it's a beautiful night, especially at the beginning of the season, So if that doesn't fix it,
Correct.
and we're still having concerns about the safety of coming in and out of the neighborhood, what is your openness, going back to Denise's suggestion, about a police detail as a backup option? I'm not saying do it now, because you said yourself, and I think I said this when I spoke, it's a fantastic business, it's considered a destination spot. I mean, I've connected with people I haven't seen in years who are like, oh, here's where I am. I'm like, you do know that's right across the street from me, right? And you're still getting great publicity, which is awesome. And it's gonna attract more people.
Correct.
So this may solve it sometimes. If it doesn't solve it in the way you're anticipating, what's your openness to having a further conversation about that?
And this would be specific to details.
I'm 100% open to investing if that's going to solve the problem. Whether this happens or doesn't happen, back to my point earlier was saying, whether this does or doesn't happen, traffic is still going to be there. This, I believe, is going to prevent driving down your road and trying to park on the side of the roads and doing all those things. This is going to prevent that. And whether I'm standing out front and directing, and I understand law enforcement being in their uniforms, I come from a law enforcement background family, them telling them to move along isn't going to speed up the amount of traffic that's in that area. It's going to move them along, but they are going to sit there, whether I'm doing this, and they're gonna stop and slow down, whether it's me or whether it's a police officer, simply to say, where would you like me to go? Where else can I park? Can I turn down this road? Because it's not just Pembroke people that are traveling to here, it's any from everywhere.
But what I'm hearing, your question is basically, this is an improvement, but what happens when car number 97 shows up, whether there's a police detail there or not? What's the detail gonna do?
The same thing that I would do. Unfortunately, folks move along, there is a road there is public parking down on the beach pathway down below. Exactly what I did on this past Friday night and what I did on Saturday night. We were full, and I said, folks, no more parking on site, we're full as of now, but we weren't full inside, we were full on our parking lot. So I let everybody know there's a public landing parking space down off of Wampatuck Road, as I've been advised to say to do so, by letting them know there's other public facilities. But unfortunately, people are unknown to that location, other than the locals, they're unknown when they're driving there, so they don't know where they're going. They're going to stop and ask a question, whether it's me there or a police officer there. And there are specific points. There's 30-minute intervals, so there's 5 to 5:30, it gets a little busy because everybody's showing up. And then it dies down and there's nobody, you could literally flip a coin and see 1 or 2 driving in. Then you got 6 o'clock to 6:30, it gets a little bit busier, or 6:15. So there's a few of them. Then by the end of the night, we close. I mean, my kitchen closes at 9 PM. I have a 1 AM license that I don't use till 1 AM. My facilities close down by 11 o'clock at night compared to before when it was 2 AM.
Can I say
Oh,
something?
yeah.
Please.
So, I live at 10 Pondview Ave. And again, I love the treehouse. I love the back, it's like Margaritaville back there. But I have a concern. I think the police detail should really happen, because my concern is people are out having a good time, and, there is people having alcohol. And I think, a police detail could mitigate any kind of unforeseen accident or anything. It is definitely a safety issue with people coming and going. And, I have a daughter that works down the street. She works till 10 o'clock, and she's coming home right by there, at that time. And every night, I'm like, be careful going past the townhouse. So I think a police detail is really important, and I think it should be taken into definitely consideration.
So I have a quick question. So can you just run me through where your customer would typically go? So if they're
So
going
this
to
is
be
the
valet,
existing building here.
so so,
This is the existing building, this is the in and the out of that same
yep,
facility.
yep,
They
that's,
drive in here,
okay.
drive all the way around here,
Where does the valet pick up the
Over
car?
here.
Okay. Then where does the valet go from there?
here, left.
So
and in.
cuts, it's going back out, cutting
Yep.
through
So
traffic,
unfortunately, before last year when we were doing it, they were turning here,
which is easier,
taking a left, and then running across the street.
right.
So this solved the issue with them having them run across the street, but unfortunately requires them to
So now
cross the road.
that left turn is stopping all the traffic that's going this way. And then it's going up the street and taking another
Well,
left turn and cutting
It
through
also
traffic.
slows
Yeah.
traffic down, though.
Yeah.
And there's a natural calming effect to it. I'm not saying that's,
But it slows
No,
the cars
it
coming down that are
slows the
flying
cars
down
down.
Mattakesett. So,
coming down.
Right, what I'm saying is a left and a left through that traffic is just slowing things down even more.
But that's not
It's already
necessarily,
slow.
but that's not necessarily a bad thing from a safety perspective, to slow the traffic down.
But I think you're creating a traffic jam there.
Well, yeah, but you
Okay.
have peak times,
Okay.
I mean, we're well aware that there's a potential safety issue there. And I would suggest that you continue to monitor it, and, if a detail is required, take it seriously.
Yeah, 100%. That was the main purpose of the valet. I mean, we spend thousands and thousands of dollars a week just in valet services to try to hope to mitigate what's going on there now. And that was the hope. Again, it's 4 months out of the year that we're battling this.
Yep.
Clearly it's not a bad thing, but it's also obviously not a good thing
Well, we
when we're
certainly
dealing
hope
with
to
those.
see an improvement in the situation.
Yeah.
So,
we have
all
another
right,
comment.
one more, please. One more, we've got to finish up. And if it's safety related, please keep it short, because we've heard a lot of safety related stuff. We're well aware of the situation.
Marco Gonçalves, 229 Mattakesett Street. Have you folks been down there during the peak hours?
Yes.
Okay, so, I'm all about the businessman to increase his business, okay, and to do better for himself, and to, and David's a good man, he's a great businessman, and he did wonders for that particular location. However, okay, it's, I can't see any more capacity, okay? And it's, the tires screeching, the motorcycles, okay, the volume, okay? I don't see how the property can take any more volume than what they're doing. Okay, so it was last week, the valet parks were directing traffic. You know what I mean? So last year, okay, I have to come to the town, okay, because of the valet park across the street and the beeping and the, you know what I mean, and everything else, okay? So, before, as a consideration to the neighbors, okay, what you're here, okay, before, we make it any other increasing, okay, on the capacity, if some people haven't been down there during the peak hours, please go there. Don't take my word, you know what I mean? It's a lot, it is a lot, you know what I mean? It is a lot of traffic, it is a lot of convolution, it is a lot of people that indulge some alcohol, okay, because that's what the place are there for, and it should be there for, okay? And, it is a tremendous safety, so.
So there's no increase in occupancy for the building?
Like I said, the difficulty is on the evenings, like on a Saturday, when I have my employees that have close to 40 cars. It's 50% of the parking that I have existing now that's gone. So it is congestion, so our hopes, we're trying everything we can to fix that.
Okay. So, do we have conditions written up? How many days do we have to get conditions written up? We'd have to vote on the conditions, right?
Yeah, so maybe, should we,
Do we have any conditions?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of conditions that were provided by Deb that we can get, and the waivers need to be voted on.
so should we leave it open for, because we have to,
Well, I think we can close the public
close the
hearing
hearing
and
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 then-
issue the conditions. We just have to make sure the conditions are issued to all parties and that we vote on the conditions. But our next meeting is when? Is that within the 14-day window?
No.
Oh. So let's, why don't we do this? Why don't we continue the public hearing until the 24th, you said?
Yes.
Okay. At that meeting, we'll issue the order, we'll close the public hearing and issue the order of conditions. So I'll entertain a motion to that.
I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing to June 24th. We're just doing 7 PM now, or just June 24th.
Yeah, 7 PM. That's fine.
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We should be able to get things wrapped up on the 24th.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's easy for me. It rolls off the tongue right there. All right, thank you, everyone. So what do we have next on the agenda? An informal meeting with David Lapp for potential business at 460 Washington Street.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
My name is David Lapp, as just mentioned. So I am looking to purchase the property at 460 Washington Street. And what I'd like to put there is an indoor and outdoor private monitored dog park with a coffee shop and a beer garden, as well as a training center to train service animals and have puppy classes and other aspects of training that will help promote better behavior for dogs. The concept here is actually, this is interesting because it's not a new concept. The concept is across the country everywhere. But right now, there's only one in New England. It only opened about a year ago. It's in Everett. I'm looking to open, and I started this before they opened. So I started this project even before that. So I'm looking to create an experience, right? It's well, more than experience. It's create a community gathering place for people to enjoy a hot cup of coffee, get some work done, have a cup of coffee with some friends, allow their dogs to play, enjoy themselves, get the exercise out. A tired dog is a happy dog. So,
Especially after a few beers.
yeah, and the beer garden aspect of it as well, right? So at the end of the day, people coming, to relax at the end of the day and have a beer, a glass of wine. Really, that's all I'm offering right now is, beer and wine, as well as non-alcoholic beverages. It's really designed to create a space where dogs can play safely, people can enjoy each other safely, they can enjoy their dogs safely, and everybody enjoys themselves in a monitored way.
So this is the side of the existing Christina's restaurant?
Christina's not going anywhere. I have no intention of putting her out of business.
So this would be around the back in the rear?
So Christina's right now takes up about 25 to 30% of that building, right? So I would take up the rest of that building, which would be an upstairs and a downstairs aspect. Right now, the basement side, which is completely unfinished at the moment, is needing complete renovation. Well, the building is going to have a lot of improvements. I'll just tell you that right now. It needs a new roof. It needs a lot of envelope issues. But it's going to be much nicer when I'm done with it. There's also an outfitted area right now for a hair salon, which I may actually retrofit to a dog grooming area. And then there's a whole upstairs area with a commercial kitchen that's all separate, that has a separate entrance that I can make into the coffee shop area and make it very nicely segregated. The outdoor space there's a significant amount of land there. There's 1.5 acres of land there. There's lots of it is grass and trees right now. There's also 70 parking spaces, which is pretty excessive. And the reason that so many is because they installed a brand new septic system and then just paved over it. Without needing to pave over it, they did. So there's an excessive amount of space that can be used for outdoor running around, and also solar panels. Do some conservation type energy generation, other things that would be good for the environment. I have to. My son would not allow me to do otherwise.
So this is in the residential commercial zone, is that right? And under uses allowed, restaurants are allowed use with a special permit?
Okay, I can answer your question. Because I read the zoning laws. So with a special permit, it is without special permit, restaurants are allowed there, other coffee shops allowed there. With special permit, you can put a doggy daycare there, you can put dog grooming there. Actually, I think the dog grooming does not require a special permit. A doggy daycare would require a special permit, and pretty much that's it, right? So all the businesses that I'm kind of putting together in this one mishmash of a business are all allowed under one form or another. There's nothing that is prohibited. I did check that before I even came in here, because otherwise I wouldn't have bothered. It's a fun business, and it is a community business.
So you're not proposing to change the footprint of the building at all?
No, not at all.
And as you can tell from the prior public hearing, parking does become an issue when you least expect it to. Primarily
That's why I mentioned there's 70 parking spots.
Yeah, but also you have a restaurant there.
Yes.
And are you be working off-peak of that restaurant, or be there at the same time?
Both, actually. Now, the restaurant is only open in the evenings right now, so there's limited hours. Quite frankly, I think some of what I'm going to help do is actually help the business. Christina's actually do a little bit better business. I think they're not struggling so much as they are not thriving, and I think some of the proposals that I have with the building itself, in the improvements of the actual infrastructure within the building, will make it easier for her to do better for her. Plus on this, I do plan on having food trucks there and offering food services, because if I'm gonna have beer and wine, I have to have some food as well. Christina's can actually be part of that and actually offer some of the food. So my goal is to try to help the existing business as well as make my business thrive.
Well, I don't think we need a site plan for this, because it's an existing site with an allowed use.
Just, the question I have is, just so I'm understanding the business, dogs wouldn't be like outside, like running free.
Oh, no.
Just trying to picture this
busy
all
highway.
in one place. My
The
head was like, huh?
No, the outdoor spaces would be fenced and closed in, and protected. It's a monitored park, right? What I mean by a monitored park is they're gonna have, I have a little cute name for them, I would call them bark rangers. And they're going to be experts on understanding dog behavior and be able to, not only clean up after the dogs, but also be able to monitor the dogs in case there's any confrontations or anything like that. The fact of the matter is, when you go to a dog park, an unmonitored dog park, their dog fights happen all the time. And a lot of that happens because people don't understand how to read dogs' body language. Dogs communicate very, very well. The problem is we don't necessarily know how to read that language. It's not hard to learn. And I'm getting certified as a professional dog trainer, so I'm actually going to be there to help monitor that as well. So from that perspective, safety is paramount concern for me. Not just for the dogs, but also for people, but for dogs for each other, and also being on a busy road, which is one of the appeals, actually, for putting a business like this there, right? Definitely have them contained, no question about it. The last thing you ever need is a dog says, ooh, squirrel, and then runs into a busy road.
So what is around there for residential housing? I'm just thinking of noise and potential parking. Like, I don't think, there's a little bit to.
There is some
There's nothing
residential,
right
it's
there.
nothing adjacent to it, because actually the
Right.
town owns all the land adjacent.
Okay.
So there's probably 3 acres of land, I think it's about 3 acres or 4 acres of land that's literally surrounding this property that is owned by the town. So there's nothing adjacent to it.
No direct abutters.
No, I actually would not have looked at this property if there was. Ironically enough, and I've been to a number of these dog parks across the country, it's not a lot of noise. It's not a lot of barking. I was surprised at that, to be honest with you, but
Dogs bark more when they're alone, than when they're with people.
it's true. Yeah. Dogs' communication with each other is not verbal.
So are you planning to do anything different with like fencing, and are you setting up a separate area there? We're just trying to think about what may be required, what would trigger a site plan.
Yeah, I would have a site plan for the fenced-in areas. Right now, I may use up a little bit of that paved spot, maybe not. It depends on what I have. But there's, in the back, toward the side of it, there's actually a grassy area, and then there's some wooded spaces that can be easily fenced in that doesn't impact anything. There's no wetlands there. There's really nothing. You know what I would do is actually be removing the invasive species and cleaning it up and having more planting of native species. So that's actually would be part of the site plan.
Is those areas, the monitored dog play areas, are they like the artificial grass? Are they natural?
So right now there's natural grass there.
Yeah, so I guess what do you propose?
I would keep the natural grass there at the moment. There is a special kind of turf that you can purchase that is antimicrobial that is used often for private dog parks. So if I do use any artificial turf, it's going to be that type of turf. And then there's, of course, the inside areas that is a non-issue.
Okay.
And
Any
of
other
course, this being
questions?
New England, you got to have some inside space.
Well, thanks.
Y'all have dogs?
Some of us do. Yeah.
Well, I hope to see you there.
Well, thank you. Come back with a site plan. If you need one, we'll let you know.
Oh, terrific, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Just past 8 o'clock. Anything else on the agenda? We have the minutes to,
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for Monday, April 22nd, 2024.
do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Oh,
Oh, damn it.
It's already done, meeting's over. Too slow.
So, in your